Um, I mean, it's nice. What are you wearing?
Well, I figured since you're in seminary, and that means you're smart, I wanted to feel smart too, so I thought, hey, I'll just wear my graduation robes. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. I mean, yeah,
No?
it's good.
No? Yeah?
I like it.
Okay. Alright, well, greetings, Earthlings. We're back again for our round of 2 of interviews. This time not with an artist. Well, I guess you've been known to be an artist in the past.
The artist, yeah. Artist formerly known as Brandon.
Yeah, but interview with the intern. So we are here with Brandon Haan, our intern pastor at Lakeside, and we're going to ask him some hard-hitting questions and get to the bottom of what makes Brandon tick. So, first question up. So, why do you want to be a pastor, I guess, would be the first question to start off with.
Yeah. Well, anyone at seminary or who's a pastor in ministry will always tell you that they had a call to something, and we hear about that a lot with Christians, you know. So I suppose at a basic level, like that's the first response. Sort of is like I felt the call, but I'll say I never wanted to be a pastor.
Okay.
In fact, there was a point in my life when it was the last thing on earth that I ever wanted to do. When I actually ever since I was in 8th grade, I wanted to be a teacher. I just had some great teachers, and some history teachers actually, and I really enjoyed history, and so I wanted to be a history teacher. And once I started high school, really wanted to be a high school history teacher, because high school teachers get to sort of be involved in different things, like they get to coach sports teams, and I had some English teachers who always directed the plays that our school did, and that was really cool. And so I actually wanted to go back to my home high school, Eliana Christian, back in Illinois, and teach there. And I wanted to direct plays, and I wanted to teach history. So then, that's what I started college doing, actually. I spent 2 years in the secondary education program. And during my first year, I just didn't feel right about something. I was majoring in history and minoring in English, because you needed to have a major and a minor to be in the secondary ed program. And I just didn't feel right about something anymore. It just didn't feel like this is what I'm called to do, or whatever word you want to use. It just didn't. I felt kind of a discomfort with where the direction I was heading, and people had told me throughout my life, you'd make a good pastor because, you know, I enjoy talking with people, and so people sort of picked up that I listen to them. I worked in a retirement home, and I really, again, this is kind of selfish, I liked history, so I liked listening to the older people there tell me about what it was like to live through the Depression or World War II and stuff. And they kept saying, you'd make a good pastor. I never figured it out until years later. No one else would listen to them like that. And that's what they thought a pastor should do. And so they would say that to me, and I would be like, you don't know me at all. I'm playing a punk rock band. There's the artist part. I write edgy creative fiction, that sort of stuff, and that doesn't fit with being a pastor. And so, like I said, but I just wasn't feeling comfortable anymore with just this idea of teaching history or teaching English and directing plays. And so finally I broke down. I said, okay, fine, God, I will make you a compromise. I'll become a religion teacher. It's kind of like being a pastor, but for people in high school, and that would be a good thing. And I was making this decision only a year or so out of high school myself. So I went into sophomore year with a religion major, English major, double majoring in secondary ed, still going to be a teacher. And throughout that year, I enjoyed my education classes. I enjoyed doing my internship and teaching a little bit, but finally I didn't feel fulfilled in that either. And so I dropped out of the ed program without really knowing what direction I was heading in. And I kind of randomly talked to someone who was doing what was called a Jubilee Fellow internship, which is an intern program through Calvin for people who might be interested in ministry. And we knew each other a little bit from some religion courses we'd had. He finally said, you should look into it next year. And so I picked up some Greek courses at the beginning of my junior year, thinking maybe I'll end up towards ministry. And I applied for the internship program for Jubilee Fellows, and I got it. And basically what it is you take a class with our former chaplain at Calvin College, Dale Cooper, and you just talk about ministry. And at the end of it, they send you on an internship to some place in the country, and they pay you a $4,000 stipend to do it. So it's like a summer job.
Yeah.
And that's why I went out to California, and I did ministry for a summer. And I had no idea what I wanted to do, so they gave me everything. I mean, I helped write VBS curriculum. I helped lead the youth group there. We did a serve trip, actually, I think with the same organization that you just did your serve trip with. We did that to San Francisco. Worked with homeless people there in the Tenderloin district of that city. I wrote a sermon and preached for the first time, and I'd never taken a speech course before. Still haven't. And just did everything. Did pastoral visits, and I just really loved it. So I came back for my senior year of college and thought, I'm going to go to seminary. And it's kind of been this long journey, because even when I started seminary, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I'm still not 100% sure on what I want to do. Like, I would have no problem being a youth pastor, or even a children's pastor, or just teaching Sunday school.
Just not at Lakeside.
Just not at Lakeside. I'm not going to steal your job. You're doing a better job than I ever could here anyway. He is. So it's been a long process of discerning my call, and people sometimes talk about like just getting hit in the face, or like God spoke to me and told me. That has never happened to me. I'm convinced it does for some people, but it's never happened for me, and it didn't happen with the calling to be a pastor. This has been a 6-year journey for me towards honing the focus and figuring out exactly what God is calling me towards. And I feel, and discovering my gifts along the way. I never knew that I would enjoy preaching, but I do. But I'd never taken a speech course, like I said. And finally, I had to preach a sermon, though. So when I'm sitting there looking at this going, I have to do this in a couple of hours, I finally just said, I'm just going to act completely natural and see how it turns out. And it went well. And that, if it hadn't gone well, I probably wouldn't have the confidence to have kept speaking publicly. Yeah. But it went well, and I'm very thankful to God for that, and how He's continued to guide me throughout things like that. I've just had a number of things where it just kind of comes out of nowhere, and this whole process is one of them. Just kind of discerning exactly what God's. That said, part of the reason why I am excited about doing pastoral ministry now is because I do feel a calling to the North American church. There are certain things about North American Christianity that I'm critical of. And we've talked a little bit about this, just you and me, but there are some dangerous emphases in our culture, especially individualism, that says it's all about me. That really, really bothers me, because it doesn't fit with the gospel.
Yeah.
So what I have discerned so far is I feel like I'm called to North American ministry. Exactly what that looks like, I'm still not 100% sure. I'd like to be a pastor, but by no means do I feel dead set on being a head pastor, or being an assistant pastor, or being a visitation or a preaching pastor. I don't care. I just want to somehow be able to serve God's church here on this continent, and be able to go wherever He might lead me. And even though I do feel like I'm gifted towards speaking to this culture, or want to speak to this culture and have a passion here in North America, I'm still not opposed to going abroad either.
Yeah.
Especially, it'd be really cool if I got to go back to Israel and Palestine. So.
Yeah.
So.
Love you just the way